Ramadan. Mornings with Ashraf Garda. Connect on Twitter at Ashraf.
We started a series a few days ago, in fact, called Al-Aqsa Watch, which is South Africans traveling to the Masjid Al-Aqsa in Jerusalem, in Al-Quds, in the Palestinian region, to effectively visit the third most, or the first Qibla, so certainly the third most significant of the Islamic holy sites in the world after Mecca and Medina, but also to understand just the political impact coming out of where they are. So we'll check today. We had a fascinating chat with Aisha Kaji the other day, and if you haven't seen it, watch that report. It's really interesting. And then also watch the conversation I had with Tasneem Fredericks, right? But today we'll chat to Arifa Bellam. That comes up in a few minutes' time. To get us there, it's knowing the markets with the team from 27.4. And my guest today, as more often than not, Orin Tambo. Appreciate your time, Orin. Thanks for your time. Good morning.
Good morning, Ashraf. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Right. What do you want to pick up on today?
Yeah, so I just saw this story in the Saturday Times, which alluded to the fact that Eskom might have load shedded. It's just a report at this point. It has not been confirmed by Eskom data, but there are possibility that they raised the load shedding to stage 8, and it's something that we, if you go back about 3 or 4 months ago, something that we never thought it would happen. The way some analysts were warning that it could happen that at some point we could run to stage 8, but it looks like it has happened. And I think for us the biggest concern, if you invest, obviously, you start to think about the fact that we are not even fully in winter as yet. We're going to have the winter season coming through, and there's going to be quite a lot of pressure on the grid. So now at this point, Ashraf, I think the possibility even of a grid failure, it's becoming very likely. So there's a possibility that we could probably have that grid failure that we thought it would never happen. It's a big concern. I mean, from an economy point of view, if you're going to have 8,000 megawatts of electricity, being off the grid or offline, a lot of companies are going to struggle. So we have talked to quite a lot of companies, from different industries, and we know that, for instance, the mining sector said that, if you're going to have stage 2 or stage 3 of load shedding, we can manage. But the moment it goes to stage 4, stage 5, it's very difficult for us. So now we're talking about stage 8. The same applies as well to a lot of retailers, to a lot of property companies. Pretty much almost every sector, they'll be telling you that we've put contingencies to deal with maybe a stage up to stage 4, but anything above that is going to be very difficult. So it's quite a big concern, I think, when you're thinking about the economy, going forward.
Yeah, I see. I mean, the claim was that it went up to stage 8 unofficially, because officially it was stage 6. So that has been denied by the Eskom team. To say that's not the case, but I mean, 6, 7, 8, it really doesn't matter. The fact is, there's a problem. We know that, right? Let's pick up on what else you want to touch on.
Yeah, so I think on Friday we started seeing earnings from US companies. So US companies report their earnings on a quarterly basis, unlike here in South Africa, where they report on a semi-annual basis. So it's one of the biggest event that investors follow, and I just want to touch a little bit on some of the earnings that we saw on Friday. So usually you start to see the big banks are reporting. So we see the likes of JP Morgan reporting their earnings. We had the likes of Wells and Fargo. It was because we are coming out of a period where we actually had some issues within the banking sector. If you remember, about a few weeks ago, we had 2 banks in the US essentially being shut down and taken over eventually because they had a bank run, and then we spread to Europe with Credit Suisse, which was also taken over by UBS. So there have been quite a lot of attention on the banking sector because of what's happening there. But the earnings didn't show any of that, essentially, because what we saw was that JP Morgan reported very strong revenue growth, and they also reported very strong profit growth. The profits were up by some 52%, and even listening to the commentary of the CEO in terms of how he's feeling, they indicated that all the different segments within their business were very strong. And I mean, and Wells and Fargo, it was the same thing as well. Citi, it was the same thing. They all indicated that their banks were very strong. They did benefit to some extent, particularly when you look at JP Morgan. I think they did benefit from some of the deposits that ran away from the smaller banks, which were considered to be weak, and they came to the big banks, and they ended up really doing well. So again, just using that as an indicator, because we've been seeing very strong economic data coming out of the US, and quite often we look at the earnings of the banks to determine the health of the US economy. And what that tells you is that the US economy is still strong, and the US economy in general is still doing well.
Okay, well, that's great on that side, but certainly not great in terms of where we are in South Africa. We'll chat tomorrow. Hopefully, the bearer of good news in our country, Orin Tambo. As always, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Orin Tambo from 2740. We do it every day on the weekdays here on the Ashraf Garda show during Ramadan. By the way, I often ask you to comment, and well, some people are reluctant to comment, others want to. That's great. So if you want to, particularly if you want us to voice your comments on air, right? Then the simplest way as you're listening is like just send us a WhatsApp voice note, 061 766 0355, 061 766 0355. We'll continue with our series called Al Aqsa Watch in a moment.